Hi everyone!
Hello and welcome back to Linescapes, dear Linescapers.
Yeah, welcome to our channel. My name is Sonia and this is Gasper.
Hello. And today we have a relaxing topic for you, and this is drawing and painting clouds.
Yeah, it's still a learning process, but we just figured out it's such a nice topic, and since today is Saturday, we said let's do something like where we can just relax together and enjoy the process.
Exactly. So what we're going to do basically today is look at how to draw clouds with a pen first, and look at some specific rules for drawing clouds, forms and everything. And then in the second part, we'll go into watercolor and we'll paint them with watercolor. So if you don't have watercolor, don't stress. You can use a strong coffee as a substitute. So you can go out and brew some strong coffee, and hopefully you have one of these. Doesn't have to be that big, but a brush, and you should be good to go. Even if you don't, I'm sure you have a pen, and with that you'll be able to tag along.
Yeah, and don't forget, when drawing clouds, the jackets are mandatory.
Yeah, this is why we both wear jackets today, because they make your clouds like about 12% better, like 12.5. So that's what we said, let's just, every percent helps. So
yeah,
if you have a jacket, a denim jacket, go get it.
Yeah, put it on.
Put it on.
Yeah. Okay, so do we have to tell something more, or can we already start?
I would say we will jump in, and then we'll definitely be doing breaks for questions and everything during the video. So if you're joining live, so glad to have you. We're always happy that you're here. Ask your questions in the comments. And if you're watching this later, I think you'll get a ton of value, and you can rewatch it always and learn how to draw clouds. We'll share our best tips that we have right now with you.
Yeah. So get your jacket and get your stationaries and everything what you need. We're gonna start right now.
All right.
Okay.
Let's dive into it. I'll just do it. So, first of all, let's just repeat again. Get a pen and some paper, and what I will do, basically, I will divide my page into two parts. You can do it as well. So I will draw two frames on my page. I think frames are always nice, way nicer than if you just draw a line down the middle. Somehow it looks more civilized,
Yeah, an outline is always nice, like a border, just to frame your picture.
Yeah,
it's always nice.
All right. So,
yes, you can also draw in your pajamas.
Pajamas are fine, since these are difficult times and denim jackets are hard to come by. They're probably on a third shelf all the way up. It's hard to reach, so you haven't gotten them out for the spring season.
Yeah, save your energy.
Yeah, you can do it in the pajamas. All right. So everyone, on the left side we'll do some basic shapes for clouds, and on the right side I will show you a good trick how to make a sky in general look good.
Okay? Awesome.
So I will use a pencil just to show a little bit, but you don't. You can also do it with a pen. I'll use a pen later. Anyways, clouds are basically, let's say, groups of bubbles, right? So if you can draw bubbles, I think you can draw clouds. If you can draw bubbles, there are no excuses anymore. You should manage it, even if you're in the pajamas. All right, look at that. So I just created a group of bubbles.
Wow, this looks so similar to a cloud already.
Yes, basically a cloud.
Ah, okay.
Anyways, now what we'll do, this is like for exercise, so you will believe me, you all can draw a cloud. So draw some bubbles, make them different sizes, and we'll go now into the step 2 and make an outline. I'll take a thicker black one so you can see what I will be doing. Okay, so take your group of bubbles, and now the outline is the one that will really make it look like a cloud. When doing an outline, let's start here on the bottom, right? So on the bottom, the outline would be like unbroken. Yeah, I'll basically just retrace the bottom side of the bubbles. And then when we curve around here on top, you know, at one point, follow one of the bubbles inside into the cloud and then stop. And then continue with the next one. And again, you know, somewhere follow it inside and stop. And let's do the same here. Let's follow these bubbles inside and stop here. You know, I won't continue doing them. I'm basically doing some, you know, maybe I'll invent another bubbly curve in between. Basically,
how do you know how does the good cloud look like?
Yes, we will come to that point. This is a very good question, and I think we're ready to explain that now.
Okay.
Okay, so this is like the basic cloud form. Now, I will make a second one and to explain a bit the shape of a cloud, you know, how a good cloud should look like. And I'll do it without the bubbles now, so you can see it's also basically possible without bubbles. Let's say I want to start. And a general tip is a cloud is always flat on the bottom and more bubbly and voluminous on the top. So I'll do some bottom ones, right? And make them a bit more flat. And then, once again, what I was saying before, you know, is if I was outlining bubbles, I go in a bit and then stop. Then behind it, I will go with the next one, you know, and stop. And I'll start with the next one. And stop. And the last one. All right.
Wow.
So we got a nice cloud shape. And as I said, it's this side is, you know, what do you call it? Bubbly? I think, if this is not the word.
Voluminous.
Voluminous. Dear native speakers,
give us a better example.
I hope I
written
voluminous correctly and not completely butchered it grammatically. Okay, and now the third thing I want to tell you about the clouds. So you can basically continue drawing on your first cloud. You don't have to do a new one every time I do it, but you know, I draw quite fast and I have fun doing it, so I'll just draw another cloud here, but I'll basically copy the first one. The third thing that we have to consider is shading, right? So there is always some light coming from the sun, right? And first of all, consider from which side the sun is shining. And I'll say, let's say this is my sunny side. And when considering, when you're shading clouds, consider that they're basically made out of bubbles, like we did up here. So each bubble is a sphere, right? And if the sun would be shining on a sphere, the shadow would look like a crescent, right? So this is the light, this is the shadow, the shade. So the shade looks like a crescent. So we'll apply the same here. The sun is coming from here, and we'll do like this crescent-formed shades. So on the bottom side, it's basically all shade. It's all in shade. And then here it gets interesting. Now we can, this one, we can like make a shade, as if we're making a shade on like a bubbly,
wow,
bubbly spherical form.
Okay, so it's not necessary to always follow the line.
Yeah, I imagine this is a circle, right? This is one. So this is how you get a nicely shaded cloud. All right. And should we just jump into the part 2, or are there any questions that popped up?
yeah, I think this is the part where you can also ask your own questions. So as we mentioned before, the first part will be how can you is all about how can you draw clouds with a fine liner or a pen or a pencil, and then how can you use this skill or this knowledge if you're using watercolors. So if you have any questions to this part already, you can gladly ask. I'm sure Gasper is very excited to all the questions that he's gonna receive. And Giga just mentioned he wrote happy little clouds.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how are you, everyone? Is it sunny in your country, or is it more or less cold? Tell us something about your day. How did your day start? Is it nice, or are you just struggling? Are you still in your pajamas, or again in pajamas because you're ready to go to bed? Yeah, anything you want, you can share with us, since it's just relaxing and drawing clouds.
All right. So I will continue now with a bit of a perspective basics. So what we're gonna look at now is how to draw clouds in a combination, like in a sky scene, right? So you're drawing a landscape, scenery, and you need to add the sky. So basically, I've started with the horizon. This is something we would always start with when drawing landscapes. And now, instead of drawing on focusing on how to make a perspective on the ground, we're gonna do some perspective lines in the sky, right? So this will help us give a feeling of depth when we're gonna draw our clouds.
Do you think they can use what you're just doing for all the cloudy weather that our viewers are having? Some say that there's cloudy California and yeah, raining and a lot of clouds. Do you think that could be also a challenge for this Saturday?
It could be a good challenge to go out and draw a bit, or do it out of your window, obviously.
Yeah. Or just make a photo, come inside again, and then try to reconstruct or redraw your cloudy situation.
All right, so what I've created basically here is a grid, right? So this grid is like, it's not 100% like accurate, I did it by hand, la la la, but it gives us a pretty good feeling of depth. So what happens when you draw a grid like this in perspective? All the lines converge at one point on the horizon. So all the lines that are parallel in real life, if this was like a grid placed over the sky, they would be all parallel, the lines. But in perspective, they will all converge in one point on the horizon, and that point is called the vanishing point, the VP, right? The vice president of this of this drawing. And now that we have this grid, right? I want you, just you can do it by hand. You can do, just make the distances, more narrow and more narrow when we go into the distance. But I will give you one trick how you can do them correctly. I drew the first one and then the second one. I didn't know exactly how far away, but just using my feeling. And then I drew a line. I imagined a line going from this corner of the square to this corner, and then to the third line. And this is where the next line is. And then I took the next one. I imagined a line going from here to here, and when it intersects this line, this is the next one, and then you can draw it. So this is a small little trick that you can use to do a grid in perspective. Okay, now to the clouds. This is more important. So now imagine these clouds. I was just on Instagram Live, and basically with our followers on Instagram, we discussed this, and a very good comment came up. Imagine that they are shoes. The clouds are shoes, and they are on a glass table, and you are beneath this glass table and looking up into these clouds, right? So this is the way you should draw. You should draw clouds, and keep this in mind. Now we'll draw a first happy little cloud here. Someone pointed out, I've seen, flat at the bottom, but reaching all the way up to the edge. And it's roughly covering one square, right? I mean, clouds are different sizes, but let's say for a start that they are all roughly one square for the sake of the experiment. Another interesting point that comes into play here, many come together, but bear with me, this is really cool. Always when you're drawing clouds, or if it's imaginatory, define a wind direction or observe it. And it's basically like that, where the wind blows, the direction from which the wind blows, there's where the clouds are more stretched out, and where in the direction, how to explain it? So here, basically, I would just say, here, if the wind is blowing in this direction, here it's more stretched out, and here it's more bulky, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is because the wind is driving the clouds on.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's logical, right?
Yeah.
But it's not always so obvious.
Exactly. And now what's happening, if you see, basically because I'm considering the clouds as being always in one of these squares, they're getting more and more like pancakes. So at one point people were drawing flat pancakes. And if you observe the horizon, you will notice that always towards the horizon, the clouds just become lines and are thinner and thinner. And this is why. Because to the clouds also rules of perspective apply. All right. So what have we learned in this first step? Clouds are composed of bubbles. They're on the bottom, they're more flat. On the top, they're more bubbly. Now we know where they're flat because they're like, shoes sitting on a glass table. It's flat on the bottom, bubbly on the top. And then when shading, consider that they're voluminous, and use a grid to get a feeling of depth for the clouds. And first they're bubbly, and the last ones are pancakes.
What about the different clouds, like cirrus clouds, the wispy ones? The ones that are stretched because of the wind.
Yeah.
How can you draw that kind of clouds? Because there are many clouds.
There are many clouds. I mean, I obviously went here for the most iconic, cumulus. I don't know the English. Cumulus, maybe.
Cumulonimbus. Say it 10 times.
Cumulonimbus. Cloud.
Cloud.
The fluffy cloud. So I went with the fluffy clouds, and yeah, if they would be more stretched, the same would apply. They just wouldn't be that bubbly. You would draw more flat shapes, but still they would be more stretched out and more flat as we go into the distance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Well, I think this is such a great trick to think about it as you have like a glass ceiling or something, and you're just looking up and just observing your sky. That's a great trick. It would be also interesting to see how this would look like if we would shade it, right?
Yeah. Well, you can look at the comments, but I will shade it in between real quick. Yeah.
Okay. Do that. Yeah, so nice that everyone came. We have greetings from Sweden, Slovenia, Canada. I mean, so nice. Yeah. Here in Berlin, we have great weather today. Sadly, when we were practicing clouds, we have just such a nice sky today. There's not a single cloud.
Zero clouds.
Really, it's such a clear sky. So we had to search for examples on internet, but hey, those are awesome as well. Oh, wow.
So you see, the interesting part is like as if you would be looking at the bottom of them, at the, how do you call it, bottom side of the shoe, the soles sole, I think, yeah,
Yeah.
of the shoe, right? So this is basically, you can imagine the clouds, being shaded like this then as well, roughly. If you would go more into detail, you would go into this one, but like if you do it rough, this is the look you go for.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
All right. I'm glad you do.
Thank you for the theoretical part.
Yes.
Okay, so I would suggest that we slowly start to prepare everything for the watercolor part. So if you're up for it, let's do the second half. I think it will take us around 15 to 20 minutes. I think I'm gonna leave one photo out of it so that we won't take too long. But yeah, as always, you know what you have to prepare. There's a few of the things that we need. But first, we need to do something which is very important.
Thank you. Well, first of all, thanks for the super chat, Michael.
Yes.
And every donation we get it goes towards us making more of this.
Mm-hmm.
And also thanks again to all of you tuning in and supporting us. Like the least you could do, or the most, I don't know, but for us it would mean a lot if you shared this YouTube channel with your friends, with your family who are also maybe at home in these times, and tell them that it's fun looking at clouds as shoes or pancakes, and that they should definitely tune in.
Yeah. And also bring a jacket. Don't forget that.
Definitely.
Or pajama. Would go also fine with that. Yeah, other words, don't forget you can connect to us via Instagram or Facebook. We have a Facebook group called Linescapers. And on Instagram you can DM us under linescape.drawing.
Exactly. So the Facebook group is a place where we share each other's drawings. We'd also appreciate a lot if you shared the ones you do today, maybe, or later on replay, so we can comment on each other's work and just hang out like the cool kids do.
And dear Luis, this heart is for you.
Thanks a lot. Much. Thanks again for another support donation.
Maybe next time we can do a few different ones, not just hearts. Maybe we can draw a goat or a cloud. I don't know, or a cloud, whatever you want. Give us some suggestions.
Cumulonimbus?
Yeah, cumulonimbus. Okay, so for the second part, please prepare a strong coffee or a watercolor set, a few paper towels. I have here some washi tape or masking tape would work as well, some brushes. I have here a few bigger ones and also a few smaller ones. In addition to that, I would like to mention that something with a pointy nib would be awesome as well. Then I also have a plate, a pencil, and a glass of water.
All right.
Of course, also sketchbook.
So, time to switch places?
Yes.
All right.
Let's switch.
Oh, you can use this one as well, if you want.
Yeah, I can do that. Or would we like to show them the examples? I think I'm going to use my sketchbook so that maybe if we need a reference to the...
Get your weapons ready. All right, so Sona, it's time to do another heart. Today, really getting a lot of support. We love it. Thank you, Anne, very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so you can guide us through. For everyone who has just joined, I'm glad to have you here. We are drawing clouds today, and you have not missed much because the first part was drawing clouds, some technical information that Sonia will use now anyways to draw clouds with watercolor or alternatively with coffee or soy sauce or what was it? Worcester sauce? Worcester? Some it's like a sauce, another sauce with W. Something with Chester in the end. You guys know what I'm talking about, probably, if you're from the States. Okay.
Yeah, so first of all, let's prepare our pages. If you're not using any masking tape, what you can also do is just make a frame. Just take a pencil and make a frame so that you know where your painting is going to come inside then afterward. And what we're gonna do is basically very simple. I'm gonna try to do the connection with the theory part, the theoretical part that Kasper just presented, but you know, maybe we can break some rules or just stay on a simple side today, because yeah, you know, it should be a relaxing Sunday, Saturday. Yeah, Saturday. I think I need to use another washi tape because this one just somehow broke.
So for everyone who is watching and maybe not painting along, and you say, let's say you have time, use this opportunity to ask us questions. We will gladly answer if you have another question regarding the drawing of the clouds, or like in general, if you need another tip or some general questions as well. And let me say that on Monday we're having another creativity challenge. So this is another great opportunity to share this challenge and this live video with others as well. So coming Monday, same time as today, no pre-existing drawing skills required, but it will definitely be a fun creativity exercise, a chance to get creative, yeah, during these times where maybe not everyone has a chance to do so. Okay, Sonia, these looks really nice already. You're just gonna do tape art?
I'm gonna leave it like this.
Well, that was it. Sonia did some tape art and...
Okay, so can we switch this a bit so that I can get my tools set on my side? Yes, great. Okay, I think for the first part, okay, I'm gonna give you this as well. This and this and this.
So,
yeah. Would you like to say something?
The canvas is yours.
Before we begin? Okay, so first of all, I would like you to take one paper towel and just squeeze it a bit. It should be soft. Not too soft, but still wrinkly. And then we're gonna start our process. And I prepared a reference photo, but maybe I should start with an example first so that you won't get too overwhelmed. And I would like to say that we need to work a bit faster. So, of course, we're gonna still take it like really relaxed, but just know that since we're painting clouds with watercolors, we need to paint a bit faster. Because we want to get this effect that water has when we're working with pigments on wet piece of paper.
So if the paper dries, this is the problem?
Yeah, that's the main problem. But it's not a problem, it's just something that you need to think about, and then everything is a bit better. Okay, so I would like for you to just follow me or my instructions and take a brush and water your page or your half with some, just not water, but just make it wet. Just use the water to make it like really nicely wet, but don't overdo it. What I want to say with that is we don't want any lumps of water building on the edges of the page.
So I guess if you don't have watercolor paper, which is a much heavier paper, then you have to be more careful with colors. So if you have a chance, take the thickest paper you can find at home right now. It will probably be the best for applying this large amounts of water. And we have one question, Sonia, here. So which watercolors will you be using? I don't know if it's meant like which company or which...
Today we're gonna use just, okay, so what we're using is, I think in English you call it schminky. but here, since we're in Germany, I call it Schminke.
You can put it under the.
Okay.
See it, yeah.
So this one, and I'm gonna be using the blue tones, and mainly just the blue tones. So we're gonna leave this part out for now.
And if someone just has coffee and they just have the, what would they do if they just have one tone as coffee?
If you have just one tone with like coffee, what we're basically doing right now, we're just using one tone. So we're gonna take one pigment like this. We're gonna take one pigment like this strong blue, and then we're gonna add at the beginning a lot of the thing is that my canvas now is already dried out, so this was probably the wrong timing for the question. But the thing is, okay, sorry, I never instructed someone before how to do this, so be patient with me. It's gonna take a bit longer to do everything. But watercolors, especially doing clouds, that's usually a very fast technique, and yeah, I'm gonna do better next time. So what we want to do first of all, we're gonna use just one pigment today. Take one tone which you like. We're gonna start from above, and then we're gonna gradually transition to the end of the page or below, and we're gonna try to dilute the color, so it's gonna be from very strong to less strong. And yeah, right now I think my page is a bit too dry already. So if you're using a very thin paper, you'll probably want to start again, because I'm not sure that the thin paper will allow you to add one additional layer of water. But I'm gonna apply one again.
All right.
Okay, so now try just to follow me. I think we can wait for additional questions when I finish this first step. So I'm gonna take very strong color, a lot of pigment, and I'm gonna slowly transition below, like this. And what we want to see is, we don't want to have too much water. If the water is collecting here on the edge, that means that you need to remove it. Just go and take your paper towel and soak that water away. Remove it, because otherwise it's just gonna collect so much like that it's not going to look good, and it's going to dry very, very long time. Okay, so I'm applying a few layers, still working pretty fast.
Oh, that already looks amazing.
And this technique is called wet on wet. So that means that I'm applying color on wet piece of paper. So I pre-wetted the page or the paper with water, and then I'm applying pigment on that wet page. Okay, so now this paper towel comes into play. So we're gonna take the edges of this paper over this paper towel, and we're just gonna collect this pigment. And you can, if your forms are still like very geometrical, that means that your paper towel is not
wrinkled enough.
So
bubbles, people remember bubbles.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and then you can also, and you can here experiment a lot. Like you can do a smaller ones.
Wow, beautiful.
Like this. Or you can also like just do something like this and try it out how it looks like.
Oh, those are those pancake ones, right?
Yeah, like the below you have those pancake ones.
Yeah, beautiful.
Okay, and this is basically the first step. If you're somewhere on the go and you would like to do something with your clouds, this is what you can do.
Let's move it a bit so they can see the whole page. Right.
Okay.
Perfect.
Now when I see it on camera, maybe I can still add some more.
Yeah, nice.
And this is called lifting the paint. And you can always lift the paint just as long as your piece of paper is still wet. So once it's dried, it won't work anymore. And this depends on watercolors and also from the paper. So if you're using a really like rough paper with a lot of textures, this one is very smooth. If you're using something rougher, probably you're gonna have a bit more hard time doing it.
Yeah, there was a short question that you need thick paper so it doesn't bend. If you have a thin paper, of course, it will wrinkle. Maybe in the end we could give you some tips on how to do that with a thin paper. But this technique, yeah, it looks best if you have a thick watercolor paper. How heavy is it?
This one is 300 grams.
Yeah.
And I would really recommend it that you get one. I was just searching online and I found, I think, good quality paper for $7 or $8, where you get like 12 pieces inside, and that's good enough for a start. And then you can also discover and search for your own a bit more. So, wow, I mean, it's worth your money, I think, because then you can experience it as it should be.
Yeah, it's watercolors are a great medium if you have also the right tools, and paper is like a good basic start.
Yeah. Okay. So, are there any questions right now that we should?
We have a suggestion for making more pancakes at the bottom.
Okay, even more pancakes.
By Giga. And then we have two beautiful comments. So simple to do, but it looks wonderful, says Anne. And Eleonora says it is beautiful. So I agree. I'm always stunned by the stuff Sonia does with watercolor. This is like her domain, and she took up the challenge at the beginning of this year to learn watercolor, and it's basically April, and she's already doing amazing. Don't you think? I think it's wonderful. I'm a fan.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I'm enjoying it a lot. But I know that I'm sometimes very hard on myself because you see, this gap we were talking about, the conversation that we had about the gap, the artist gap, that's happening to me as well. So I see all these amazing examples, and then I think to myself, Sonia, you can do better,
I think you're doing great, like already.
Okay, but I think I can't add any more of those white pancake clouds because this layer here dried completely. So I can't do anything in addition to that. Okay, but how does it look like? Is anyone following these instructions, this tutorial? And if you do, how does it look like for you?
Yeah, do tell us. And you already got also nice feedback that Michelle is a fan of yours as well. And Carlos says his paper is 200 gram. Carlos, I think 200 gram is also sufficient. Sometimes when I use watercolor, I use it in a sketchbook with 130, 150 gram. It also depends a bit on the surface of the paper. So if you will search for buying, just type watercolor paper, and I think you should get the right stuff.
Yeah, and there are different kinds of paper. You have cold press, then you have hot press paper, and so many different kinds. I must say I didn't try a lot of them, and I'm also at this point where I'm not paying any attention to that kind of detail, since that comes later on. And I think once I'm gonna be good at this technique, and then I'm gonna buy or deep dive into part of paper, I'm just gonna be, oh my god, this makes such a difference. But in this point, for me, that's fine. And for you, probably, if you're new to it, also pretty okay. Okay, so, and there's another thing that we can do in this step. And this is what Kasper was telling us before. So we have this kind of nice looking canvas and we can leave it here, but still we can add some additional layer. So I think since we talk so much in between, I'm not sure that it's gonna work so good, but we're gonna try to achieve that as well. So what we're gonna try to achieve is to get some shadow or shade. Is that shade?
I think this is shade. The shadow would be the one on the bottom.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay, so we're gonna try to add some shade and then we're gonna try to add some white above. So we're gonna try to get this more white and we're gonna try to achieve this grayish tone at the bottom. And that's basically it for the first part. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just add a bit of water so that it's gonna be nice and moist. And since I'm using the very, very smooth paper, I hope I'm gonna achieve what I want. And this is the good trick. I hope it's gonna work. So I'm just gonna use a bit of pressure and just try to destroy this paper a bit. You know, just try to move the color. That depends on your paper that you're using. So this should usually work. Maybe try on the edges where the dark color meets the meets the white tone, and then you can try to define the edges a bit more.
So you're making the top edges of the clouds crisper.
Yeah, I try. So if that doesn't work, of course, you can always use one additional, you can use white color to add some of this white. But I think today we won't use it. Today we're gonna just try to lift some of this color if it works. If not, probably for some of you will work. It really depends on how fast you're drawing, what kind of type of watercolors are you using.
And if you're wearing a denim jacket.
And if you're wearing a denim jacket, yeah.
Denim jackets, 12% better clouds. That's why we're obviously in our cloud painting uniforms today.
Yeah, so I think sadly I can't lift so much color as I wanted. Maybe I can try here a bit. Yeah. Well, we can see it. If you cannot, then yeah, the quality of camera is not so so good. I'm just joking. Okay, and I will just try to add some grayish tone. So this is the part where we're gonna try to give this cloud some shoe part, or how would we say?
The bottom part of the shoe?
The bottom part of the shoe. Yeah. And I'm gonna take a tone mixed out of black and blue, and I'm gonna dilute it quite a lot, so it should be quite transparent. And if we can also just test it out here, because we don't want it to be too strong, we just want it to be like a hue of gray.
You see what Sonia just did? Have a small testing surface. Like before you go into your paper, if you have on the side some space, test your pigment or your mixed paint there. So it's not like a shock. Oh my God, I applied too dark color or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. This is like magic now. Oh, they really starting to look three-dimensional.
Okay, so here, if you want them to really have like this effect that there's a shade underneath, I suggest that, as first mentioned, use a lot of water, and second, use a brush that has like a really pointy nib, because you can be very precise and you can also follow the white forms a bit more, You're not so aggressive in your
Mm,
brush strokes.
beautiful. Oh, clouds are such a relaxing topic to do.
Yeah.
It's already preparing for today's stream was amazing, and I would say it's like therapy. As funny as this sounds, it actually did calm me down drawing these clouds.
Yeah, it's a really very nice topic.
Yeah.
And especially what I would like is just for you to enjoy it even more. Imagine now going outside and just try to do something like this on your own. That's something that I was wondering and asking myself so often. How do I draw clouds? I mean, this is so amazing, but somehow it looks so hard. And I think with those kind of easy techniques, you can start and just try it out, right?
Mm. So um, we have Amethyst says that the tissue sticks to the paper. Maybe is there like a solution to that?
um, that never happened to me. Probably you should use less water.
Mm-hmm. And probably a better tissue, I would say.
Both, yeah.
Yeah, I think toilet paper it's probably falls apart too fast, and these are paper towels, or just what are they called? Handkerchiefs? Yeah, not handkerchiefs, but the ones. Yeah, the handkerchiefs. I think. I think. Anyway,
The
uh,
handkerchiefs, yeah.
use paper that is that's strong enough. Then we have a comment from Tina. Sonia looks amazing. My clouds are shy and look anemic. Not sure what's wrong. I wish I had Schminke watercolors.
Yeah, it can be that you applied too not enough pigment. So you need to start with a lot of pigment above and then transition slowly above below, where you just dilute the color or just don't add any additional pigment. And if you notice from the beginning, I used like 3 or 4 washes, um, and I always applied additional pigment above. So I tried to stay away from the water and just uh, reapplied the um, the pigment. Okay. So how does it look?
Beautiful. People are saying that the dark bottom really makes it look amazing, and asking if this is a gray tone. This was what, like Sonia said, it was a mixture of black and blue. This is how she created her gray. And it didn't turn out like yours everywhere, but I think, yeah, it's a bit of practice, and do try it out on your own again. I would say it's worth it. Even if it doesn't look amazing on the first time, I think it will look pretty good. um, so at this point, I would suggest you again, do share your work in our Facebook group. This is where you can get some feedback on it, and it's Linescapers. You can find it on our Linescapes Facebook page, and I'll be totally glad to see it. And you can also, if you have Instagram, just take a snapshot of it and tag us in the story or something like that. It's always amazing to see what all of you created.
Okay.
All right. Oh, this is beautiful. All right, this is amazing.
Okay, so we have what Kasper draw before.
Yes.
Wow.
Beautiful.
This fits together, right?
It fits together. It's just not fair that you get to use color and yours looks amazing, like more amazing right away.
Yeah, but that's the trick. You told us about the theory, the
Yeah.
theoretical part, and this is how it looks like at the end when you try to do it.
I think it looks amazing. Beautiful. Yeah.
Okay.
So at this point, I would ask maybe a question to our audience. Would you be okay with us doing a second one? Are you already too tired, or is it something, do you want to do another one? Sonia, what is also your thought on that?
Well, for me, I think you got a great value if we stay here because it should be a relaxing Saturday, right? so we don't want to overwhelm you. What I would do next, I would show you an example that we would just draw together and just insert clouds, but basically it would be the same principle. And yeah, I would rather say that if you're interested, that we do an additional live stream to that, because there's so much, and this is just the first basic tip that we can give you, and would be very interesting to do even more about it.
So more about drawing clouds, yeah, let us know. If you're watching live, write us in the chat, and if it's on replay, you can also drop us a comment. Okay, at this point, Sonia, we got another donation. So thanks a lot,
Thank
Tina.
you.
This is amazing. All right. So before then we jump to the last one, let me just real short tell you what is happening in the next week. We'll wrap it up after that. So this is the schedule. On Monday, we have the Creative Challenge, so do join us at the same time as today. On Wednesday, we have an amazing topic, and this is how to draw a tree, right? And on Friday, we have our Feedback Friday. So, everyone, remember, for Friday, send us your sketches, your drawings, your paintings, whatever you want to get feedback on. And also tell your friends and family, anyone who is artistically interested, that they can do it, and we do our best to give the feedback. And yeah, I think we'd be really glad if you joined us on Monday as well. It's always amazing to see every one of you.
Yeah, so I think this is it for tonight. I hope you had fun. I hope you relaxed and learned something new.
You wanted to show an example, or?
No, I think I understood that we can wrap it out for today.
All right. So, really glad that you joined us. If you want to do another one on your own, try it out, and do share it with us. And I think we'll do another live stream. People wanted to do another live stream for this one.
Okay, I'm excited as well.
All right. So thank you all for coming. Do subscribe, do like, and do give us a comment. We always love to to see your comments.
Yeah. So till next time, keep on drawing and
stay creative.
bye bye.
Bye bye.